Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me and my very special guest. You know her from such shows as Ring of Fire, Fun Home, Angels in America, and the unsinkable Molly Brown. And this coming Sunday night, November 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, she will kick off her brand new concert with Seth Rudetsky as part of his Seth concert series. Please say hello to my dear friend, Beth Malone.
Hi, you guys. I'm just like tweeting this as we speak. I'm like, get on now. It's happening now. I'm literally writing, happening now.
That is so great. Well, first of all, as you're tweeting, I want to ask you, first of all, how are you and where are you?
I just got back to New York last night. I am on the Upper West Side in my apartment. It feels so good to see my stuff again. I left abruptly in March to get out of the pandemic. And here I am back home in my house. I love it. So happy. I had a great house sitter and a person keeping my plants alive, and so grateful.
It must have felt so great to sleep in your own bed last night, right?
It did. It felt good. It felt weird. But, as soon as I entered the city, as soon as I was in the car from the airport last night, I had this incredibly emotional reaction to being back here because I was in the middle of doing Molly Brown. I was in the middle of, going to rehearsal and having a community and a life and a cast and a process and a show. And then just like, as everyone who has experienced this knows, it was just so weird and abrupt. And then to leave immediately after that and to have not been here since then, when I was coming back, I felt like I should be going to rehearsal. I felt like I should immediately be going right back down, to be with my people.
It was so weird because March 12th was such a strange day. We had all of our cameras packed. It was the opening of 6. We were going to do the pre-carpet. We were all, I had my outfit all picked out. I was decking myself out in some purple. And then it was like, my boss told me the night before, because we were at 6, and my boss, Rob Diamond, said, I think it's all going to shut down tomorrow. So it's like, how did you all find out? Because you were in the middle of this incredible run with Molly Brown. How did you find out?
Well, first of all, I've thought about that 6 cast so much during this. I have thought about them because I have felt so fortunate, honestly, to have been able to open, to have had that opening night, to have gotten to have a piece of a run, and to have those 6 people ramping up for this thing and what happens to your mind and your body when you're about to open something, and then to have that rug pulled out from under you. I've thought about that cast a lot. So my heart goes out to those guys. But, what was the question? I forget.
How did you find out that it was all shutting down? Yeah.
We were, we were following things as they were announced. We were following things very closely. And then my phone in particular started blowing up that day because we were off Broadway. So we were in a house where we could have kept going for another week. We were still under the 200 mark. Remember when they did it incrementally? They were still saying, shows that have an audience of less than 200 can still perform. But my lovely castmates started to flip out and say, we don't want to get on public transportation tonight. We don't want to go down just to be told we're not coming back. And so our lovely producers were amenable to like anything we wanted. They were like, come do the show or don't do the show. We don't, it's all just okay. Whatever you guys feel comfortable with. So we made a unanimous decision to not do the show that night, even though we were on our way down to the theater, and a lot of us ended up showing up anyway to clean out our dressing rooms and have a last stroll around the set, have a drink, put some music on, say goodbye to each other and to this piece that we were about to get half hour for.
Oh.
You're in the middle of a show. The set becomes like your house. You're walking around that theater, looking at your scenery and your props and your costumes and these things that are so yours and so familiar, and you've internalized this whole thing. You don't even realize. And then to just sort of lay it all down and walk away from it, it was intense.
Did you leave New York right away?
No, it took us a couple of days to get organized, because we had dogs and got on a plane. And
Were you able to process it? I've had so many people on who are either getting ready to open a show or in the middle of a show or just opened their show. And they said, Richard, it was so hard to process because it was like what you had just said. You're on this trail, you're on this roller coaster ride of tech and rehearsals and changes and opening and performances. The rug is pulled out from you. You're home. You're like, oh my gosh.
You know what I realized throughout all of it is that when you're in the process of ramping up to get a show up,
yeah,
you're building up a persona. Like what I have to do is build up this person that becomes a public person. There's a private person that's just really user-friendly and normal and grocery shops and hikes and watches Netflix. But then this person that you have to step into, you have to ramp up to become. I have to do that. For me, I have to do that. That I didn't really realize, like, that's part of my process is becoming a public entity. And, that stepping away from that also was like, whoa, it was intense. I'm telling you, I know a lot of other people are experiencing this exact same feeling, but it was very unusual to be able to identify those things because it was this unique situation. It made certain things like rise to the surface that are usually kind of taken for granted and like, oh, of course, yeah, this is what we do. But when you're in that mode, when you're, because we rehearsed right next to company, we were all on the floor. And of course, Marianne Elliott's my dear friend from Angels. And so I was popping into rehearsal all the time going, hi, what's going on in this room? So I felt like I was like double tag teaming. Like I got to pop in, in and out of that life as well. And all those guys, I just, it sounded so awesome what was happening in the next room. And it was so thrilling. And to hear that score like coming through the walls. And I was like, oh, this is going to be such a good show. And then they never got to open. All that stuff. It's just like, wow.
A lot of people I spoke to when it first happened, they were like, oh, maybe this will be on for a week. So they were like, oh, I could sleep for a week. I could just heal my body. When you're in that 8 show a week, you're in this hyper, like you said, your public persona, your show persona, and all of a sudden you have to shut that all down, and you like hit the wall for a minute. I mean, did you hit the wall right away?
I have to say there was a bit of relief in it as well.
Yeah.
Just because, Molly Brown was a beast of a show. It was a beast. And every single day I had to like do everything I could to just get that thing to pass through my body because it was so huge. And I'd sleep and I had to take all these vitamins and work out, but not too much. So I still had something left, it was very intense, and I'm the one who pushed it. I was like, Kathleen, let's make this thing as like physical as possible. Let's make this, and so she was like, okay, you're the one who has to do it 8 times a week. So you tell me. So I was like, let's make it like Cirque du Soleil. Yeah. And, then I was like, oof, careful what you wish for. So there was a bit of a relief, just like during Hurricane Sandy, we're doing the lab production of Fun Home, and that lab contract was so grueling. You show up at 10 a.m. every morning, you get new pages, you rehearse them, you put them in, you take a break at 5. At 6:30, you have half hour. You go on in front of an audience and you implement the new pages, and then you do the whole thing again the next day. So you're not only doing the show every night, but you're implementing a whole bunch of new information in your brain constantly and letting go of old pages too. So we were paper thin by the time Hurricane Sandy happened and we got those like 3 days or 4 days off. Everybody was like, thank God. Yeah. We were cracking. It was like the public theater was sitting on our heads. It was so heavy. And so that was a blessed thing. It was a horrible thing, but it was also like, oh, what I wouldn't give for like 48 hours to heal. Yeah. We got it.
Wait, so how are you like handling and dealing with the ongoing pandemic now, like the two of you? What's happening?
We are in Colorado. My wife and I have a ski condo in Snowmass Village. Now, when we are living our lives, that ski condo is rented most of the time, so we can pay for it. So
Yeah.
we keep it going like a business. When I say we, I mean Rochelle Shopper, my
Yeah.
wife. I'm not the brains behind this operation. I'm gonna tell you that right now. And so she had tons of cancellations, which was a blessing because we had someplace to go.
Yeah.
It wasn't New York. And I know a lot of my friends, everybody kind of like scattered to the wind. If they had a place outside of the city they could go, they went. But then there are my diehard, amazing, true blue New Yorker friends who just sat it out in their apartments, and I just thought of them so hard, going, oh my gosh, because in Colorado, which is where we are, I mean, it's not all good, because Colorado has a Trump problem.
Yeah.
It really does. I'm sorry to say, but it's been very interesting being there during this season. But for my friends who gutted it out here, I've been like, hats off to those hardcore New Yorkers. That's what I have to say. My heart has been with you. My heart has been aching, and so like I feel so lucky to have gotten out, but also a lot of guilt. You feel guilt too for having fun. Like I've had some fun. We went hiking, we went skiing, we floated down a river. I ride my horse, my bike, it's beautiful there. It's mountain activities. So we've had a really fun summer.
Yeah.
Away from people.
It's interesting because I'm a New Yorker. I'm in Hell's Kitchen. I only go out on Tuesdays and Saturdays to shop. I still wear gloves. I wear a mask. I wear a hat. We still wipe down our groceries. I mean, we're diehards of just getting through this whole thing. And it's such a weird thing, because I've spoken to so many stars during this time period, including yourself, that have been in different areas of the country dealing with the different political climates. And they said that's been the hardest thing, even around the world. I mean, Cherry Jones from Switzerland, the same thing. It's like people who wear a mask, people who don't wear a mask, people think this is all a hoax. It's so interesting.
It is. And it's interesting about this holiday season coming up.
Yeah.
It's in my family. It's right smack in the middle of my family on both sides. Rochelle's, mine. Yeah. It is. It's going to be at our Thanksgiving table, which we probably are not going to have, because we will not sit there for that anymore. We've gotten to the point where this has pushed us, like when you have friends and family who have certain political attitudes, you can sort of ignore them. You can get along, you can do a dinner, you can do a weekend at the most. But this president and this pandemic have brought everything to a boiling point where nothing can be overlooked. You can't ignore anything, even for one Thanksgiving meal. I can't right now. I just can't. So it's been interesting. It's been hard. It's been actually brutal. We had a big, honest come to Jesus between my parents and I recently. And, I just can't, the thing that's been going around. It's like, how can you say you love me? And then ... because I'm a gay person, I'm an artist. I am, if you can't vote just to save my marriage, this is, I can't, I don't know. It's very tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, we're all going through that. Because my next question for you is, what has frustrated you the most, and what has amazed you the most during this ongoing pandemic?
Well, heroes are not hard to find. That's the most amazing thing about this pandemic. It's like anywhere you look, you can find someone being heroic. And if you want to step up, and show up at a food bank, or, make some calls or write some postcards, the opportunity is there for you. And so that has helped me to feel empowered in a landscape where you sort of feel powerless. You're like, well, I can do this. I can call my congressperson. I can call my senator. I can write these postcards. I can put this sign in my window. I can put this sign in my car. That's the upshot is, and the essential workers. Even I came through the airport last night, and I thought just how heroic these folks at the airport who are making sure that the people who enter New York, I just got a text from the state of New York that says I am quarantining. And I am here because I'm shooting something for Netflix and I have to quarantine anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm in this 14-day quarantine. I have to move to Netflix housing soon. So that is also, it's a whole new world. We're in a really weird season. It's a very strange world. Together, like the thing is like my friend Lauren Patton is nominated for a Tony. I'm so happy for her.
We are too.
But honestly, it's like I want her to get that Tony season that I had. That luncheon with Bernadette Peters. It's like that's what Tony season was to me. It was like, hi, Bernadette, I'm Beth. And she was like, hi, Beth, I know who you are. And I was just like, I want that for you. So she'll have another one. Like she'll get another one. But it's like, I don't know. There's so much. So we have to focus on what's good. Your question was like, what's good? And the good part is, we're still going to have Tonys. That's going to be fun. We're going to still celebrate those amazing performances, which we need to. And we're still doing this. We're still able to, reach out and see each other any way we can. I'm doing this concert with Seth on Sunday. And even just the rehearsal we had today, it was just so good to see his little face,
We're going to get into that, but I have one more question for you. Then we're going to get into your fabulous concert. We have people watching all around the world. The election is just a few days away. Okay. Would you just joke about the importance of how important it is to register and vote?
I mean, we're coming down to the wire. So if you haven't registered yet, in a lot of states, it's too late. But if you haven't voted yet, vote. And if you have to vote not in person, take it to a drop box. Don't mail it. Put it in a drop box. Don't trust that it's going to be counted if you don't find a polling place drop box. That is my strong, strong urging advice to anyone who has yet to vote. So we already voted. So we vote in Colorado because it needs our vote. That state needs our vote. So if there's a way that you're not in New York City and you can register to vote elsewhere where your vote can really count because you're living somewhere else, that's what we did this year. And it feels really good. It feels really good because our vote here is like a blue drop in a blue bucket. But there, it can actually make a difference. So
I love that you did that. It's interesting. I'm voting on November 3rd because I can vote right in Manhattan Plaza. I live in Hell's Kitchen, and I got my new zapping card. I want to experience the whole day. I don't care how long I have to wait. I'm going to experience. I'm going to put a picture up with my little sticker on afterwards. And then my husband said, you can watch The Sound of Music. So I'm watching Julie Andrews that night. I'm not watching anything else. I'm watching the Blu-ray with all the behind the scenes and everything else. And I'm getting lost in Rodgers Hammerstein world. That's what I'm doing that night.
That is your gift to yourself. I have to tell you a Julie Andrews story. Cynthia mentioned Jerry Jones. She's my friend. And one time Julie Andrews' husband,
Blake Edwards.
Blake Edwards directed Cherry in a show, and she invited Cherry over to, this is a story, a Cherry Jones story. She invited Cherry Jones over to their house. They were having a little gathering. Cherry was sitting on the floor watching TV, and Julie Andrews came in and said, "Oh, darling, are you comfortable? Are you quite comfortable there?" And she was like, "No, I'm fine." And then Julie Andrews went and brought her like a blanket and put it over her. And that's the end of the story. That's the whole story. But to this day, Cherry's like, "Julie Andrews, put me a blanket. Put a blanket on me." That's it. End of story.
Who wouldn't want that story? I want it.
I mean, and she's like, our little gay hearts a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Pitter patter for sure for Julie Andrews.
That's why I can't wait. November 3rd, I'm in front voting, coming home, making a nice dinner, and watching The Hills Are Alive. That's what I'm doing.
So good. I got choked up when I put my ballot. I could get choked up just now. Just putting my ballot in that box. I saw the New Yorker cartoon that says, I had to wait 3 years 9 months, 18 days, and 4 hours to vote. You know how people are like, it took me 5 hours to vote. It's like, it took me 3 years, 9 months to be able to vote. I've been waiting to vote that long.
Yeah. But I think what's really great is when you look at the hours, it just means more people are out there voting. I'm fascinated by the numbers, so I'm just thrilled with that. I thank you just for always being so honest, and I adore you, just so you know that.
Thank you. I adore you too. Amen. And we've got to like celebrate when things get good. We've got to celebrate it because we cannot take the good stuff for granted at all.
Well, that's why we're going to get into your Sunday night. I am so thrilled for you. This coming Sunday night, November 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will be live, then a rebroadcast on Monday, November 2nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, doing your virtual concert with Seth Rudetsky as part of his Seth Concert Series. How excited are you to be singing again and to doing it with Seth?
I'm so excited. I love this concert we do. You know, we've done it several times live, which makes me not as nervous to do it not live. But I love him so much. Like when I saw him through my little computer laptop today, I just wanted to reach through the screen and reach his little freaking face because he's just such a love, and he does he does so many amazing things. Do you know how many concerts he's done since this whole thing? It's been unbelievable, and he has got this incredible technical staff behind what he and James are doing. So all those people, they need a shout out as well. It's going to be so fun to just spend some time with him, you know, some time together. Really, that's part of it too, because we always have such a fun time, and we end up talking about weird stuff we didn't plan, and we end up singing weird stuff, you know, that we never rehearsed, and that's just part of the fun of working with Seth, because he's like, well, let's just say it then, shall we? You know what I mean?
Like, what can your fans expect? Are there certain songs or composers or shows they can?
We're going to do some, you know, fun home. We'll do some fun home stuff. There might be like a deep tracks. There might be a fun home deep tracks session. I'm just going to say that. We made a little set list today. I'm going to do some Molly Brown and Life I Never Led from Sister Act. There's a story that I tell where I didn't get Sister Act. I did the Out of Town Sister Act, and then I didn't get to go to Broadway with it, and he makes me sing it all the time. He makes me tell the sad, pathetic story because it has a great upside, you know, and you'll have to just tune in to hear that. But I'm going to do a mashup. I think that my friend David Dyer is going to help me make an arrangement of a mashup of You Will Be Found, Unruly Heart, and Purple Summer. Something with Purple Summer. Don't you think that'll be a cool match?
I have goosebumps that ran from the top of my head just to my toes. Just that in there.
That a mashup between You Will Be Found and Unruly Heart would be so thrilling. And then if we just like ended it with Purple Summer, I can hear it. We need to work on it. So we're gonna do that later. I'm excited. You know, I always like to use these concerts as an opportunity to sort of like broaden my book a little bit and say, well, it's like, what's something I've thought about, I've heard somebody sing that I kind of dug, or something like it's usually a man would sing, you know, so I always like to throw something in like that.
Oh, I love it.
That surprises Seth even, you know, something that makes him go, who's that? What's that? You know?
I love that, because that's hard to do, because he, like me, he knows everything. Like, we know your careers inside out. So it's just like, to throw him, you'd be like, wow, I can do that.
Yes,
so, you know,
I can do it. As long as I stick to the pop genre, then I have the front foot on that.
He's like, what show is that from? It's not from a show, Seth. He's like, I don't know it.
I don't know it. Then I don't know it. Never heard it.
So, you know, not only do you have to be a performer now, you have to be your whole entire tech team. You must be so appreciative of all the people behind the scenes that have worked on a show to get you on stage. You have to be your lighting designer, a sound designer, a set designer. I mean, where are you going to shoot?
I'm not really good at it. I was like, what happens if I put on I don't want to see my refrigerator. Like, this is it. This is as good as it gets. But I've got all this stuff. Like, what is it? So David Katz has been on the phone with me all day trying to teach me to use this. My wife's usually, you know, way more tech savvy than I am. So if she was here, which she isn't, she could help me with all of this stuff, but we'll see. If you can see me and hear me on Sunday, it'll be a miracle. So we'll see.
I love this. This is like unplugged. I love, because some of these people, seriously, I've talked to everybody who's done these concerts, and they're like, well, I'm just going to do it where I can do it. I'm just going to be me and do my thing. And some have zhuzh stuff behind them with backdrops and flowers and all this stuff. It's like everyone's done everything. So are you going to wear a specific outfit? Or are you just going to like whatever the day brings you? Like what's going to happen?
Everybody wants to like suggest things I could wear. I was just, you know, Seth just said he was going to do like a VIP ticket where people can watch the sound check and things like that as well. His producer, Mark Cortale, is so awesome. And he's been doing all this, like pumping out all of this media and stuff, which is incredible. But I was just saying that since people are going to spend a lot of money for the sound check, I might not wear pants.
Ooh, very exciting.
So that might be exciting. So you get to pick, like maybe I'll wear like the changing my major underwear and jump around my living room. If people want to tune in for that, it's going to be really expensive, but worth it.
I'm sure there are people right now saying, I gotta upgrade my ticket. I've got to buy a VIP ticket for Sunday night now.
Yeah, right.
You know, so again, the concert is this coming Sunday night, November 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with a rebroadcast on Monday, November 2nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Seth concert series is produced by Mark Cortale. We all love him. And it's sponsored by BroadwayWorld and StreamYard. Tickets are available at Broadway World Events and at SethConcerts.com. Tickets for the concert only are $28.50. And now there's this very special VIP sound check ticket, which I'm going to look into right away as soon as we end our
I'll make it worth it for you. I'll do something really, really intense is going to happen during that sound check.
I love it. I just love how you're back to New York. You're here less than 24 hours. You're like, I'm having mashups put together. I'm going to do all this fun stuff.
Yeah, I do love it. I'm doing a play reading at 6:30 tonight for the Actors Fund. There's an Actors Fund benefit, a New Works benefit. So I'm doing a reading of something called Collegeburg at 6:30. I don't know if you can log on to that, but you know, I'll tweet it out if you can. It's for a good cause. And
the Actors Fund, that's the best. Well, so that's tonight you're doing this. So I'm sure there's a way for people, just anybody watching, just go to the Actors Fund, look for that. I'm sure there are tickets available for tonight for this incredible play. Is it a new play, Beth?
It's a new play. Collegeburg is the production that we're doing. There are other casts doing other readings, but that's the one I'm doing tonight.
Oh, I'm thrilled. You know, I want to go back to the beginning. Growing up, where did your love for theater begin, and what were your earliest creative outlets?
I saw Singing in the Rain on TV. That was the very first thing I remember blowing my mind. And then I just started, like, I made plays in the backyard. I was that kid who made everybody do it. And then we had a really good public school at that point in Castle Rock, Colorado. We had the most incredible high school theater director, Wally Larson. And he literally saved my life. He saved my life in high school. And so many people with amazing high school theater experiences say the same thing. And it is true, because you're so vulnerable that time. Your life can kind of go in any direction. Like, so many of my friends just had, you know, our lives would have been different had we not intersected with that amazing man at that time of our lives. And, you know, he introduced us to, I remember like getting my Tams Whitmark, you know, my script and opening it up and entering this world of this play. And when you're living in a rural place in the middle of America, and the only thing you've had access to is like Mork and Mindy on TV, which is, this ages me, but it's true. And then you get to enter these worlds, these magical, beautiful worlds. And I remember I had the vinyl of Sunday in the Park with George. And that, I mean, I feel like even when I saw that show for the first time, I thought I had seen it already, because I had seen it in my head. I'd fully seen it in my mind's eye because of that gorgeous, gorgeous cast album.
That's what cast albums did for all of us. It's funny. It was almost like watching the video play in your head, yet there was no video.
And plus, because of the book jacket,
oh yeah,
you could look at the production photos and be, oh, I bet you that's what that scene looks like. I bet you that's what he's singing there. Yeah. He's singing "Finishing the Hat" right there. I bet. Oh,
Because
And
those were gatefolds. Remember when you got the albums, the ones that opened up? I would like hyperventilate when you cut the plastic. They were called gatefolds, where you could see the pictures inside, right? I was like, oh my God, this one opens up. It's a gatefold, and you could see like this world as you put the records on. I tell my family, stay out of the basement for the next hour. I've got this stereo.
you know what? I feel sorry for kids who just have digital music.
Yeah.
You don't get that experience. You don't get that full immersive thing, because it really requires you and your mind. That's what it requires. It requires you.
I've rebought everything. I have a whole section. I have a fabulous stereo system. I have a lot of my old stuff, but I've rebought everything on eBay. Just go there. I buy the sealed ones. I like to open them like I did when I was 12 years old. And I've reinventing my collection all over again.
Hold, please.
Okay, hold please.
Please. I do have this.
Oh yes, Tammy Grimes. Oh my gosh, look at that.
You want a joy bomb? Listen to Tammy Grimes sing "Ain't Down Yet."
Oh yeah.
Like, that is nuts. And long time before, like, Molly Brown came into my life, before I knew I was ever going to play it or do it,
yeah,
I used to listen to that track if I was down or if I needed to pick me up.
Yeah.
I remember I played it for the girls in the dressing room of the Marvelous Wonderettes once, and they were like, "What the fuck is this? What is this?" And I'm like, just let her transport you, because she went there. Like, she went there. And that's a performance for the ages, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I'll tell you, I adore Tammy Grimes. And also behind me, you can see I have Debbie Reynolds. Debbie Reynolds was a dear friend of mine. That's some of the production she did in Chicago. So I've been trying to collect all of stuff. I was obsessed with Molly Brown, the movie, growing up too. Grover Dale and Gus Draconis and everybody from that film. I am just, Molly Brown is one of those feel-good, just a feel-good show and a feel-good movie. And Debbie always said, when they said, who are you the closest to, anybody you've ever played, she was, I am Molly Brown, because I have fallen, I've gotten up, I've fallen, I've gotten up numerous times throughout my life.
Oh my God, that makes so much sense. She was just so utterly lovable in it, and unabashedly broad, without apology, but you're still believable, like so much heart. She could carry it off because she had an enormous, like, she was a heart with legs. That's really what Debbie Reynolds was.
And the director didn't want her.
Huh? Who did he want?
Shirley MacLaine.
Oh, wow.
And he didn't want her. And then halfway during rehearsals, he was like, he apologized to her, but he didn't want her. He's like,
wow.
I think he said, you're too tiny. So, well, how tiny is the part? That's what Debbie said back to him. But she was like, oh, she earned that. And then she gets her, Academy Award nomination. So,
God.
Where
her brothers are like smashing her into the dirt, and she's like, ah!
Yeah.
I mean,
so like I said, we could have this Molly Brown conversation, which we're going to get into. But did you have a college teacher, a singing teacher, who taught you how to belt?
Let's see. I've had several great teachers. I've had several amazing teachers. But I did have particularly one teacher that taught me how to, like, breathe deeply, and I had a teacher that taught me how to warm up to something I wanted. That was an interesting one. So he would put out something really great, like out on the street, and then he'd have you reach toward it while you were singing, and like have the sound just like come up from you, from a pure sense of like really, really wanting something.
Yeah.
So that was helpful. But I was also like an insanely high belt. I always say that, like, I'm a countertenor more than a chick singer. I have like a dude's apparatus, and I have, like, there are several doodly things about me, and one of them is my vocal structure. I have no legit, like, girly soprano. I have no, like, falsetto, basically. What I have is like this crazy high belt that I can mix. So that's, it's been interesting, because there are roles I'll never play that I want to play. Like, I wanted to be seen for Eliza Doolittle, and I could never sing it. And plus, you would never want to hear that. but I could act the shit out of it. I'm going to tell you right now.
Oh, I think you need to do a whole other concert of roles you wanted to play and do your version of Eliza Doolittle. Oh,
That's a good idea. Because there's like that line where it's like, this is for the ladies. And then I'm like, oh, I can't get through that ceiling. Shit. You know, I can never play Eliza Doolittle because I couldn't sing. I could have danced all night in a way where anyone would want to hear it, unless I totally reinvented it, which is a really good idea.
Oh, I think so. Hello, Transport Group. Take Beth Malone back down there again, or some producer watching. I think you need to do a concert or a Broadway Cares benefit or something of
It's a good idea.
roles I wanted to do. Before Sunday, I guarantee you'd be like, Seth, I want to do this. There may be some new surprises. You know, Broadway debuts are so special. Like we talked about early on, many people were supposed to make them this spring, then the pandemic hit. And I hope when the theater comes back bigger and better than ever, they'll be given that opportunity. But yours was in the Johnny Cash musical, which I loved, Ring of Fire.
Oh.
Now, yeah, I love that show. I have no idea why, but I did. I'm not a country western fan except for Dolly and stuff like that, you know, or Bessel Whorehouse in Texas. But I loved that show. But you have to tell the story. Did you get that role because of karaoke?
I did get that role because of karaoke. So funny. You know, Jim Friedberg is a friend of mine. He wasn't a friend of mine then. He was my friend's friend's boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I had a Halloween party like I would have been having if it was any other year, but now. Halloween is my favorite. It's my favorite holiday. We always have a great party. And often we'll have like costume and karaoke go together like you wouldn't believe. People feel so much more courageous to sing The Little Mermaid when they're wearing a Frankenstein costume. So I love having karaoke at my Halloween party. And I sang, one time I was like, you know, drinking keg beer. And in the backyard of our LA house, we lived in LA right after grad school. I moved up to Los Angeles. We got a little house. And my friend's friend brought her boyfriend, Jim Friedberg, and I sang River Deep Mountain High, the Tina Turner. And I crushed it. You guys. And then Jen Colella dropped out of Ring of Fire to do the other thing.
Urban Cowboy?
No, she didn't end up getting to do it. She got replaced. She dropped out and got replaced. But that was just like, it was a really weird production. It was the Times They Are Changing.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah.
Remember that? The Tharp.
Bob Dylan, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, she went off to do that. I stepped in to do this. And it was because Jim Friedberg had seen me sing at my party. And then he called me in and I came in, I sang a couple tunes with my guitar and they said, we're going to fly you to New York. And I was like, okay. And I went out, this happened in LA. I'm on the side of the road, parked in my truck on like Magnolia Boulevard. I go back in my truck and I like grabbed my steering wheel and I went, like the idea that because I was teaching high school at the time, and deep in the valley of Los Angeles. And I was just like, there's no way. How do I get from here to Broadway? How do I get from Van Nuys to Broadway? And that was, it was like through Johnny Cash.
Through karaoke. I have to clarify to people watching, I love country western music now, but back then I was strictly Broadway cast albums and soundtracks. That was the world I lived in. No, but that's what I lived in. That's what I lived in, but of course. But I loved Ring of Fire. So it's like, so karaoke is what got you to New York. You know, I know you have the craziest roller coaster ride with the New York theater because you'd be here, then you'd move back to LA, then you'd come here, something would drop out, you'd move back to LA. Mm-hmm. You made a lot of TV commercials. You made a lot of commercials during that time period, didn't you?
Yeah, I made a ton of commercials. Like I can't even tell you how many, probably 30 TV commercials. And sometimes I would come in and I'd be like that mom who comes in and says, kids, like that. And that would be it. Like I would drive, 45 minutes in traffic to go, kids. And then I'd drive home and be like, God, this is life. What am I doing? What am I doing? I gotta get out of here. And so many people were so jealous and enthusiastic that I was working tons and tons of TV commercials. But I'm like, but this isn't what I was gonna be.
Yeah.
How am I gonna be this? And some people are, and that
Yeah.
is a great thing. Where those people, like I have friends who are strictly like commercial actors, and you know them, and you're like, oh my god, yeah, that girl, and that oh yeah, that was me in the 2000s, in the early 2000s. That was me.
That's great, though. I love.
I was every girl, I did a ton of them. I was in every fast food, every allergy medicine you can think of, every like Lowe's, Home Depot, but all of them.
I love that. Well, you took Broadway by storm as Big Allison in the beautiful, heartbreaking musical Fun Home by Lisa Crone and Janine Tesori. Would you tell me the story of how you got that role? That was really interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting because it just popped up on my. Somebody posted a memory. Jameson Stern, do you know Jameson Stern?
Yeah.
In a musical with him in Asbury Park, New Jersey, 11 years ago. Literally 11 years ago right now. Like, I think I got Fun Home. My wife says something popped up on her calendar that says Beth Malone's birthday a few years ago, and I was thinking about it because it's not my birthday. I think it's the day I got Fun Home. 11 years ago was the day I got the very first reading of Fun Home, and it was because I was doing this lesbian musical in Asbury Park, New Jersey. First of all, it was a great musical, and it had been optioned by Kevin McCullum after NAMT. It like crushed NAMT. It was the celebrated show of NAMT that year. Then Kevin McCullum optioned it, and we were like, we're going. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be huge. And then he sat on it for 18 months and didn't do anything with it. And it's because 2008 happened.
Yeah.
And everybody, lost confidence in edgier things. It was after Avenue Q, before the renaissance of like edgy Broadway stuff, and people just sort of took a step back and wanted to be more conservative, and this was sort of an edgier thing. So it died. It floundered and gasped and died. And the last gasp of breath this thing had was directed by Peter Schneider, my dear friend, amazing Peter Schneider, directed a production of it in Asbury Park. And we were still like making fixes and thinking maybe it's gonna, maybe someone's gonna come and see it and want to take it in, whatever. Didn't happen. But I was the lead of that. And it was a great part for me. It showcased like everything I did well at that time. It was like a Mary Tyler Moore gets dumped character, like the Mary Tyler Moore of lesbians, and she gets dumped and goes through this year of trying to put her life back together, and it's pathetic and funny and sweet. And so Lisa Crone was vacationing in Asbury Park, and she and Lee Silverman with their sweethearts were like looking through the paper going, what should we do tonight? Oh, let's go to that. Literally, that is what happened. And they showed up at my opening night. Oh, that's my phone. I don't know why.
Oh, it's all good.
So that happened. Oh, it's Seth's producer. He's trying to call me.
Oh no!
He's trying to fix my sound issue.
Oh, fabulous.
True. But
so they came to see you in this.
Yeah. So they showed up on opening night, and then I went home to LA after doing it, and I thought I was literally writing my CV. So I could teach college. I have a master's in acting, and I got it so that I wouldn't have to wait tables ever again. And I was putting my CV together to send out people. And I was like, because Peter Schneider, I told him I was quitting the business after I didn't get Sister Act. And he said, well, you're going to want to do everything you haven't done. If you're really going to quit, you want to do like, he gave me some bullet points. He was like, don't leave the house for less than $1,000. Don't leave the house unless it's somebody you really want to work with, or the show is really good, or the role you've always wanted to play, or even if it's none of those things, it's got legs, it's going to go forward. And the fifth thing was like, do something that scares you. Do something that scares you. And so I wrote Beth Malone So Far, my solo show, and Lisa also had seen that. So it wasn't like I was coming out of nowhere with her. So both of those things that Peter had told me to do put me, like it stopped me diffusing my energy out into a wide array. It kind of like laser focused my energy on one of the things I wanted was to see somebody like myself reflected back to me on stage, which you never saw. You never saw a lesbian leading lady ever. So I wanted in a musical, you know what I mean? You'd see plays, you'd see, you know, TV, movie, whatever, but not a musical. So I wanted that, and all of that put me in a very, very small category of people, so that when Lisa and Janine were looking, and Sam were looking for Allison, they found me. And once they found me, they didn't let me go. That was the other thing, because I mean, there are people that came in and out of that cast at the formative years and things like that. And I was always sort of thinking, maybe this part's going to get written out. You know, Tony Kushner was really good friends with Janine, because they had written
Caroline
Change together, and so he was around our production a lot. He kept like proposing to them that this character was extraneous, and then Lisa or Janine, somebody finally said, you need to stop saying that, because it's not happening. Like, we're not cutting this character. This show is about this character. So when he saw it, fully realized, he goes, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. When I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. I was wrong. You were right. This is something else. This was something special. So it was just a very interesting journey. That whole Fun Home journey. It's a lot. Like, I should actually do an evening of songs that got cut from that show, because there were so many great things that cast in and out of that show that never made it into the final cut. But it wasn't because they weren't great. It was only because it just wasn't right for that very, very distilled story. That story was distilled down to like just the bare minimum. It was like essential. You know, every word in it is essential. That's the thing about that script that makes it, you kind of don't realize while you're watching it, but if you really look at it, like just dissect it as a piece of art, it's just dense, because every single word of it is essential. It pushes the story forward. Every single scene, every line, the audience learns something they did not know.
Yeah, because I had Michael Cerveris and Judy Kuhn separately on my show here, and they said, Richard, everything is a special show, but there's just something about Fun Home that was just totally life-changing with the material and the company.
It's so true.
Yeah.
We had a blast together. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the future? Great things or nothing may happen in the future, but that experience, those Fun Home years, especially the Broadway company, once we finally settled in that circle, it was every single day was that's why every single day, even in the long run, as it went into like its second year and things like that, and people were like, how are you doing this every single day? It's like, it's a privilege and a very special magic that we make every single day when we start that show. The downbeat and that story begins. We're in it like it's the first time, and it was magical.
See, congratulations for that, because you know, Broadway stars, when they were given like an incredible role, they stayed for 2 years in these shows. They stayed. I mean, this whole thing of people running out of this stuff now, I'm so glad you did that. I'm so glad you stayed and said, when you're given something like this, you stay.
All of us did. We closed with the original company.
Well, that's how it used to be done. That's how it used to be done.
Yeah, 2 kids got too tall. Like, the kids grew up, but the adults stayed. It was really, and we all kind of made that decision together. There was a point where Judy almost left to do Fiddler, but then she didn't. And we were so grateful. And, you know, we had the amazing Becca Luker step in for a while Judy had a hip replacement.
Yeah.
And the amazing Lauren Patton stepped in for a good long while Emily went off to shoot a movie. So we had an amazing secondary group of people that came in and left that also feel like original cast members. It was magical. It was touched by the gods, that particular show. Yeah,
it's thrilling, because I was at your last performance of that show too, and it reminded me of the old days. You know, we're almost out of time. We have about 10 minutes. It flies by. I wanted you mentioned Tony Kushner. You got to go into this incredible, beautiful last production of Angels in America. Marianne Elliott, the director, of course. I mean, what was it like? You and I spoke a few times during this. What was it like stepping into Angels and playing the angel and working with Nathan Lane, Lee Pace, Andrew Garfield? I mean, what a company.
It was incredible. Like, as if like my life couldn't get any better after Fun Home. Like,
Yeah.
that my second thing I got to do was Angels. And it's really extraordinary when you think about how late I started and what I was doing and screwing around being a ski bum for a lot of my 20s. Honestly, I really just was like jerking around skiing, not pursuing Broadway theater. And I know the odds of having these two shows come into my path are just extraordinarily unlikely. But when you think about going from Fun Home to something, like, what could it be? Like, what could you possibly do after Fun Home? And it's like the only thing you could do is Angels in America that could even compare. And it did. It was deep and intense and difficult. It was as much as a human being could possibly give in one day before you just pass out. That show is too long. Yeah. It's too damn long, Tony. It's too long. That show is not meant for human beings. So it was just like a marathon. Like, I'd be warming up my body to go on to do the fight when the angel beats the crap out of Andrew. I would be warming up my body at 11 o'clock at night, getting up from a little nap, and then starting to do like a full physical warm up at 11 p.m. so I could go on and do that. So like, this is wrong. But it was so beautiful and so powerful, and having that text in your mind, it's such a brilliant work of, just astonishing work of art, that text. So and it's so dense that you really need to hear it every single day for 6 months to get all of it, to get everything that's in there. And so I would just leave my monitor up and I would just listen to it. And it was amazing. And Marianne Elliott is a genius and a blast. And she's wonderful. She empowers you. She stretches you. She pushes you. But she always has your back. And she's an incredible director. And I loved working with her. I learned so much, not just about acting, from her, just like how to be in the world. She's a genius. And Tony, when you think about doing a revival, you think, oh, well, the playwright's not going to be around. Tony was there. He was writing new stuff. Some of the stuff that he wrote was for the anti-migration epistle. A lot of the stuff that we ended up doing as ours was the first time, and it's not in print anywhere except for in the script that I have in that room. Yeah. So it's not. It was too current. It never made it into print. So the version we did, the version you hear when you listen to the cast, we did a book on tape of every single moment of that show. You can listen to it like a cast album. So that's the only place that the version that we did exists, is in that book on tape.
I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I thought nothing could come close to the original. And then I saw this and I was like, I actually saw it. I think I saw it twice. I saw, both parts. So I saw it 4 times. Wow. I just thought that was miraculous. And I'll tell you, for an audience member, it just flew by. I mean, Marianne Elliott, her direction was so brilliant, but this company, she's brilliant at putting a company together, as Sam Gold is too. I mean, big kudos to Sam Gold. I mean, just brilliant. But wow, to go to Fun Home from that, we talked a lot about Molly Brown, but I know she's a very special role for you. I got to see you twice do this downtown. What does she mean to you, that role of Molly Brown? Because you worked really hard in that show, like you said.
Thank you. And I'm from Colorado, so that it's a show that's near and dear to my heart, because she's a Colorado icon. And we live in Snowmass, and JJ Brown mined all around. So when you're really, when you're a Coloradan, it seems like when you're in a play and it's about mining and it's so remote and it's so far away, but we really live in it. We're skiing over things that were silver mines less than a century ago. So they're all over the place, and they had their like hunting cabin was close to where we live, and it's not, it's sort of like playing Alison Bechdel. It's like, we always had to remember these are real people and it happened right down the road. And so it's helpful to go drive down the road and see the house where it all happened and see the town and meet the people that are still alive and still kicking around in the town, to really make sure that when you're doing this show, you're doing it with a lot of respect, because it's not fiction. Same thing with Molly Brown. That's the way I treated it. I was like, these are people, and I met her relatives, they're kicking around too. So, people show up and they're like, hi, I'm Molly's great granddaughter. I'm like, well, right, because we're going to tell you a little story about her. And this particular story with that Dick Scallon, brilliantly revised, was much closer to facts. We still had to keep the name Molly, even though she was never called Molly. She was called Maggie and Margaret and things like that. But, we would never be able to sell a show that said Margaret Brown. You don't want to go through that. So we had a blast making it, and we did it with as much integrity as we could, and still had a kick-ass time. It was really, really fun. We had the best company, and it was really, really near and dear to me. And David Aaron Damane, who played opposite me, was incredible. And I've had other, leading men along the way that were also incredible. Mark Kudish. And it was just, it was an incredible journey. When I think about that first audition, I walked in and I had been Molly, I had been Allison, and Dick tells this story, so I don't feel like he's going to mind me telling it. He did not want to see me for it. He wouldn't see me for it because he was like, well, I love Beth Malone, but I mean, I can't really see her playing this part. And, but I mean, whatever, she feels really strongly about it. So I walked in, and for me, I knew how I would play it. I knew how I would play it. If I was going to do it, I had a really strong sense of like who she was, what she needed, what she wanted to do with this thing, and who she was. And I just came in and I did that. And at some point I had a piece of paper. I hadn't written down the first part of I Ain't Down Yet. I didn't really know it. When I got to the part where I'm gonna learn to read and write, because that part's really easy, I crumpled up the thing and I chucked the thing across the rehearsal room, and he like elbowed Michael Rafter, and he was like, oh my God, this is her. Oh my God. How do we get Kathleen on board with this? Because, Kathleen was a tougher sell. She was like, she has a lot of loyalty to, I don't want to say, like the status quo, but she has the Broadway hierarchy means a lot to her. She's old school, which I totally respect, but that was a hard won fight. I had to fight to get her to see me as a person who could carry a show by myself. And then when she saw it, she was like, damn, you can carry a show by yourself. So that was it was, who knows what's going to happen in the future, but that happened to me. Like that, I can go like, that happened.
This is like Debbie Reynolds and Charlie Walters for the movie of Molly Brown too. He didn't want her. Look, this is like a full circle moment. I love this.
Yeah, you have to fight sometimes. You gotta fight. When you know something, you have to fight for it. And I knew it, but it doesn't mean you're gonna win. Doesn't mean it could have easily gone a different way where I didn't win. That's happened to me a lot, where I see myself as something, and I know if someone would give me a shot, it would be unique and unusual and special. Yeah. May not be good, but I know it would be weird. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, and I, but to get that shot, to have somebody actually buy into your vision of something and give you the keys to the kingdom, it was magical. It's really, really fun.
Well, you were sensational in that, just so you know that. I wish you could all step out of your bodies and see what you give to an audience, because your Molly Brown was brilliant. Just want to let you know that.
Thank you.
We are just about out of time. I just want to give you a big shout out. You're an incredible activist. You do so much to fight for the LGBTQ plus community and for the Aqua Foundation. Like I said, thank you for doing everything you do, particularly in this political climate. And my final question for you is, what are you looking forward to the most with Sunday night's concert?
Oh, I'm looking forward to opening up and letting it rip. When you don't have a reason to sing big, you don't go around belting your brains out every day. So here I have my little microphone set up. I got my room, and I'm going to be Seth Rudetsky in my ears, playing brilliantly and being, just this incredible support, and just he's such a he really, you can just hear it in his voice that he loves when someone sings well. You know what I mean? So to sing well and to have Seth think you sing well, it means so much to me that he digs what I can do, and it tickles him when he makes me sing something crazy and I just sing it. It tickles him to no end. You know what I mean? So that is so fun to do, and it's so fun to play in a room like that where someone really, really understands why you're good. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because, a lot of people are like, oh, she's pretty good. But for Seth, he understands exactly what you're doing, and it tickles him, in a very specific, deep sort of way. And so that's always so fun to be with him, because he's like his with itness factor is like off the charts.
Well, like I said, the concert is again this Sunday night, November 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. She'll be live. And on Monday, November 2nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time will be a rebroadcast. Again, the Seth Concert Series is produced by Mark Cortali, who I think you have to call back now on your telephone about sound issues or whatever else. It's sponsored by Broadway World and StreamYard. Tickets are available at Broadway World events and at SethConcerts.com. Tickets are only $28.50. Beth Malone, I adore you. This was so great catching up with you today.
You too, Richie. It's so good to see your face.
I can't wait to hug you. Everybody, until we see you again, stay safe, wear a mask, vote, and watch her on Sunday. Take care, everyone.